numbers at various stages. And I was surprised to find that according to that honest research scholar, the spread of Islam has no relationship whatsoever with the spread of the kingdom of Muslims. They are two separate channels running sometimes side by side, sometimes in different directions. And whether the Muslims lost an empire or not, did not lose an empire, this was a different phenomenon. And it was a phenomenon to be observed equally in those regions as well, where Muslim sword never reached and was never employed. It's a parallel phenomenon. That shows that the Muslim political might had nothing to do with the spread. I mean to say that some Madudites, for instance, the followers of Madudi, they also believe in this, and they, as evidence, they give this spread of Islam or Muslim empire, I should say, through sword, as evidence that sword has a part to play in religion. And they say, unless these countries have been conquered, Islam could not have spread as fast. Previously that was rejected. After the conquest that was accepted. Maybe not directly under the threat of life, but under the influence. This is a very strong argument they produce in their favor. Just a moment. But at the same time, Islam was spreading elsewhere. In Indonesia, in China, 4 huge provinces of China became Muslim. And not a single battle was fought either in the name of Islam or to oppose Islam. The whole population of Indonesia got converted to Islam, and not a single battle was fought there, either in favor of Islam or against Islam. And the spread in the peaceful region was much more rapid and lasting than the spread in the regions of war. Hazrat Khazada Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib in his book Khatam al-Nabiyyin has made a very interesting comparison, quoting figures. He shows that during the time of Muhammad ﷺ, the spread of Islam during wartime is so limited that it seems to be progressing at a snail's pace. But the spread during the peace of Hudaybiyah, that period, short period, is so rapid that there is no comparison. So the real spread of Islam was not after Fateh Makkah, but before Fateh Makkah. And even after Fateh Makkah, not a single Meccan was converted because of that victory. Muhammad ﷺ did not lay that condition at all. He said, whoever wants to save his life, he should come under the banner of Bilal or under the banner of so and so, or do this or close his doors. So, there were so many conditions. And one of those also was that if somebody accepts Islam, okay, he will also be saved. So when there are 7 other doors open which are so easy of access, why should one take the door of Islam? Because it wouldn't make any difference to him. So that proves that it was not the fear of sword which spread Islam, because they could escape in any direction, from any door. And after the conquest, the punishment that was declared was only for a few known culprits. Less than 12, less than 6, only 4. And still, some people have the courage or audacity to say that Muhammad ﷺ used sword to spread Islam, or Islam was waiting for its sword for ultimate conquest. It's totally wrong. After Fateh Makkah, in Hunayn, Muhammad had to fight a battle. And on way back also he had to fight battle with Banu Ghatfan, he had to fight a battle. Yet he released all the prisoners of war without asking a single one to get converted to Islam. Without condition, totally they were released, and because of the tribe being related to Hatem Tai. Look at him, at his grandeur. What he said was that Hatem Tai was so generous and so beneficent in his character that a lot of benefit flowed from him to the deity. So in memory of his kindness and good acts, I released my prisoners without any ransom, anything. The entire Muslim army released their prisoners without any ransom. And not a single person was converted to Islam because of that conquest. So that is the true religion at the sources, at the fountainhead. You can't compare religion after it has got distorted and mixed with other impurities and then start attributing things to religion, while it is a distorted religion, not the true religion. True religion can only be understood at sources. There is no other way as I know. Please now.
You were mentioning the name of the book and the writer, sir, that Christian writer.
No, I've got left that book in Rabba. I don't remember the name, but I can. Who would do that? That book is very interesting. An author has investigated the spread of Islam, the history of the spread of Islam. I don't remember the title, but if you write to Mangla Sahib to go through my library, my personal library, and see if he could pick up that book. Or maybe in my room, there were some books in my regular library and some in my room for studying now and then. Maybe out of those books it is there. Because it was just a few months before I came that I had read the book.
Well, so the whole concept of the question changes now when you differentiate between a religion when it is founded on a religion when it's come to temporal power. And the whole concept of my question changes, you see. You differentiate in between these two. Now, continuing the talk, would you permit me to just cite, you see, Maulana Maududi's statement that you should go and fight till there's no fitna left. What that exactly means.
It is a verse to which he refers, the verse of the Holy Quran, which has been used unfortunately exactly for the opposite end. Exactly diametrically opposed purpose. The fitna mentioned in that verse is application of force in religion and conversion of Muslims into kafirs through force. So the Holy Quran permits the Muslims to fight only until the fitna remains. As long as coercion and religion is being used, you are permitted to fight back that coercion. But the moment they cease coercing you, you cease fighting them. So it's exactly for the opposite end. Fitna in the Holy Quran has been extensively used for exactly the opposite purpose. Now the mullah of today is using it for exactly the opposite sense. Fitna, they think, if fitna means that if somebody tries to convert you through preaching, that is fitna, and you are permitted to use force to stop that preaching. While according to the Holy Quran, fitna means if you are preaching your religion through arguments and somebody uses force against you. So the whole picture is completely opposite to what the Holy Quran paints. For instance, in Surah Ukhdud is Surah, the name of Surah is Ukhdud or Surah Buruj? Buruj. In Surah Buruj, The Holy Quran mentions this fitna.